shows. Every scene's a high and low. You'll unwind.
This is Jordan's Vision. Pull up a seat and kick up your feet. Welcome guys. How are we doing? Time for another Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction reaction. We are on Season 4, Episode 5 now. Season 4 has gotten off to a great start for me. The 4 episodes have resulted in 2 4 out of 5s and 2 3 out of 5s for a total of 14 out of 20, which I believe is blowing my previous averages from the previous seasons out of the water right now. So, again, that could change. Could be hit with a 1 anytime, could even be hit with a 0 anytime. I think I'm due for one. Maybe another 4 happens, or maybe another 5 happens again. We'll see. If again you're not familiar with the show, we see 5 stories. We have to guess whether each one is either true or made up by the show's writers, and we see how many we get right. So without further ado, this is Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction, Season 4, Episode 5. Here we go. Before I get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget, reacting to art is sharing art. Channels like these benefit everyone from the viewers all the way up to the original creators themselves. Also, a reminder, spoilers are likely, so if you haven't seen this episode yet and would like to, please feel free to click off and take care of that first. I'll be here when you get back, but for those of you who are sticking with me, pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction, Season 4, Episode 5. Here we go.
An upside-down portrait of a vaguely familiar face.
Yeah, vaguely.
At first blush, it appears to be a normal photograph.
Oh, I see something up with it.
Angle.
Yeah, his beard's all messed up. Yeah, and his mouth.
We just frightened. Especially mine. What do we expect?
I'm a children and you frighten
Our eyes
me.
process before you prejudge them. Examine them from all angles and don't accept anything at face value.
Especially not that face. Oh.
Every week you see ads for house sitters in the paper.
A lot of them are shifty.
Being one, she has lots of good books to read and a things-to-do list provided by the owner. But before this job is through, her main thing to do will be to survive.
I don't think that was in the ad. Of course there's a thunderstorm. Like, why wouldn't there be?
I put an ad in the local paper offering my services as a house sitter. I got a job right away, and before I knew it, I was spending my first night in a huge, expensive mansion.
Oh, girl works fast.
Mr. Townsend left that morning to join his wife, Madeline, in London for a month-long vacation.
A month-long job, too?
Let's drag your butt out of your apartment and get over here.
Party at the mansion.
I'm all alone. Will you come on? It's just a little storm. What's the big deal?
Famous last words.
You're not gonna believe this? I'm watching TV and the show just changed to some guy mixing something with a shovel in his
I don't like the look of this.
room.
What is he mixing? Oh. Shovel guy's back.
Guy with the... What is up with this TV?
So you can hide in the corner with another remote. Turned it off and it's still gonna come back. Don't tell me that guy's in the garage or something.
I get hungry. Gross. Gross. Really gross.
Too many vegetables?
Passable.
I'll take passable.
I decided to give the TV another chance.
Oh, you might regret that.
What is going on here?
All shovels all the time.
More... Turn off. Hey,
It's every channel now. Unplug it. There you go. Somehow that's not going to work either, is it?
There. I couldn't figure out what was happening. I was hearing the same scraping sound, but the TV was unplugged.
Yeah, it's actually happening outside the house.
Somebody here! Alex, is that you?
That'd be some prank if that's her friend.
I was determined to find out where that sound was coming from. It sounded like it was somewhere in the living room. But
Look, there's like 100 rooms in the house.
Too. I finally realized that it was coming up through the fireplace.
Getting warmer. Don't tell me our guy's down there. Try turning on a light, girl. Oh! What did you even see?
I knew I was getting closer because the sound was getting louder. And that's when I saw it. Why would anybody put a camera down here?
Oh? Wait, it's on the camera.
I suddenly realized I was standing in the same area as the man on the tape. But what had he been doing down here? What was he mixing?
I mean, it looks like cement, but something tells me it ain't cement.
Zach.
Oh, my God. Oh, hi. Who are you?
My husband buried me alive.
Who are you?
I'm Madeline Townsend.
I'll get help.
Let me guess, your husband is Shovel Guy.
Lloyd Townsend was arrested for attempted murder in Europe and brought back to the United States to stand trial. And me?
Wow.
I gave up house sitting.
Yeah, give up that house at least.
Mrs. Townsend had suspected her husband for some time and had planted the video camera in the basement to spy on him.
Smart lady.
But how did the video keep turning up on the TV sets upstairs? Was it because the Townsends
That's
had
the
recently
big question.
rewired their home?
So, we have a camera set up by a wife who suspects that her husband's about to do something to her, and as it turns out that he did. So yeah, that happened. There was somehow footage of that recorded, and somehow that footage ended up on Allie's TV while she was trying to watch TV. The crazy part that may be a little unbelievable is, of course, how it got on the TV. Like, it doesn't even look like the kind of camera that records for a TV. It's just a little old-timey thing. Like, how does that even work? Of course, if this were a real-life story, maybe there is a better camera. I don't know. But again, how does a camera that's just hanging out in the garage like that suddenly connect to the TV? Bluetooth isn't a thing back then. You have to think this was like 20 years ago the show aired. I am having a hard time with this one. I think I'm just going to say, cool story, bro. But I don't believe it. I'm marking it as fiction. One down. Let's see what the second one is.
The neighborhood phone booth.
Those are kind of old-fashioned, too.
Jason Laird is in a desperate place. He's down to his last chance. Will he stand up for what he believes no matter what the consequence? Or will he just phone it in?
All right. Here's your proof there.
I was driving through this small town called Port Angeles on my way back to
Port
college
Angeles.
when my car started losing power. I knew something was...
Yeah, it looks a little smoky.
Fuel pump's busted.
Oh, man, I don't believe this. Well, can I make it back to school?
No, without a fuel pump.
Where's school?
So how much is a new fuel pump?
More than you have,
I
probably.
don't know, around 400 bucks,
Well, I hope he's got that much.
$400?
maybe a little more.
But I gotta get back to school.
Not in this car.
You got a few thousand for a new car?
Okay, go ahead, fix it.
You got 400 bucks?
God, I hope so.
Hello? Jason, is that you?
Huh?
Jason, is that you?
Why aren't you
There
talking?
was no way I could ask my parents for more money. I just
You
couldn't
need it,
go
though.
through with the... Then I saw it. Just laying there.
Saw what? What is
Why
that?
would a gun be alongside the road like...
Oh,
Did
don't
somebody
tell me you're
toss
gonna
it
do
out
what I
of a
think you're gonna
passing
do.
car?
Oh,
I was so desperate I wasn't thinking straight.
you're gonna rob the place.
All I saw was a quick solution to my problem.
You don't have a getaway car.
I didn't want to hurt anyone, so I waited for everyone to leave. But as soon as one customer left, another one would come in.
Oh. Either way, at least the clerk's gonna be there, so...
I
Wait,
couldn't believe my eyes. It was my father?
what?
I got out of there fast. My parents
Wait.
lived over 500 miles away, and I had just heard my dad's voice on the phone.
Why didn't you recognize you was
This
what I'm
time,
thinking.
I
Like, if
should
that
have just
was his father, he
forgotten
would have
the
been like,
whole
hey son,
idea,
what's up?
But I couldn't.
Hey, you!
And now that's a dad.
You're not my father.
What are you doing, son?
Now, what is happening here?
Guy's thinking weirdest robber
Hello,
ever.
Dad?
Where else would I be? What are you doing in Port Angeles?
How did you know I was here?
You phoned collect, remember?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
Are you okay? Are you in any trouble?
He's in all the trouble.
I dozed off a little while ago and I had this dream. Your car broke down and you were really upset.
Wow, he knows exactly what
And you
happened.
were in this, and I know you'd never do this, Jason, but
Do you?
dream. You had a gun.
Do you now?
Jason, you know that if you're ever in any trouble, I'm here to help.
Thanks, Dad.
He still hasn't asked for the money.
Dad wired. I almost made the mistake of my life that night. I'm just glad someone was there to stop me, whoever it was.
It couldn't have been Jason's father. He was miles away. Was it a look-alike? A twin brother of his father's that Jason had never heard about? But then how do you explain the accuracy
That's
of
possible.
his father's dream?
Talk about this one too. Yeah, this is one I'm having a lot of trouble with as well. First of all, I can understand, he has car trouble. He's, miles from where his school is, and, he needs $400, and, maybe he has a little apprehension about asking his parents because of, all the trouble they're having, his mom being sick and all that. I could even believe him finding the gun and going to rob a store. And I can believe him, imagining that his father is there. Like, it's within his own mind. So I can see that, he might think that he sees his father. But where I'm having the trouble, how did his father know what was happening? And another thing I'm having a little trouble with that's kind of intangible, I guess. If he didn't go through with robbing the store, why did he tell anybody about it? Like, obviously, if this is a true story, he must have told someone. Like, maybe it came out sometime years later. Maybe it's something he told his kids, like, years later or something like that. Even if that were the case, I'm still having trouble with, his dad magically being transported during his dream to see what was happening. I think I'm going to mark this one as fiction as well. So I've got the first two marked as fiction. Story number 3. Will I find some truth, or at least something that I believe is truth? Let's see.
The car has meant more than mere transportation. For many, these hood ornaments stand as an expression of image and self-worth.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
And his latest acquisition may do more than take him where he wants to go. It's threatening to drive him crazy.
Sometimes cars will do that. Okay, let's see.
I'd been a car nut all my life.
That's some
When
car.
I was 8 years old, I could tell you what kind of car was coming just by the sound of its engine.
That's some perception right there.
It was kept in mint condition by its original owner, Clifton Teasdale, who had died a year before. All I cared about was making sure it stayed that way. Wheels,
That is a nice looking car, though.
This is a 1940 Packard 120 Cabriolet.
So this show was made in 2002. It's like a 60-year-old car.
The owner's widow kept it locked in her garage for the past year since her husband's death.
She don't want to drive it herself?
Well, let's put it this way, Emery. She didn't know what hit her.
You didn't kill her, did you?
Emery, never touch it. And you don't let anybody else touch it either.
I understand, Mr. Giraldi.
You also want a bigger parking space. I don't want anybody accidentally denting it.
Well, actually, I think all the parking spaces in the building are the same size.
Yeah,
And
probably.
I'll pay extra for these 2 spaces. And I also want you to put a chain link fence around them.
This guy's really protective of his car, man.
You can do it, Emery.
It's got to be the most expensive parking job I've ever heard of.
Emery got the fence up that night, and I slept great knowing the packet was protected.
It's really cumbersome, but I guess it does the job. Oh, what happened?
It can't be. Emery, there's a dent in the door. You did it. You hit my car when you put the fence in.
The
Dents
fence
don't
did that?
just appear.
I don't see a dent.
Well, of course there's a dent.
He doesn't see the dent? Wait. Okay, it's gone.
Oh, this is crazy.
Just
There was a
imagine the dent.
Every chance I got, I'd give the packet a quick dusting. I'll bet Teasdale himself never took such good care of it. I don't believe it.
Let me guess, that's going to disappear too. Yeah?
Well,
Where is the
you gonna
scratch
tell me
you
that's
speak
a
of?
shadow?
I don't see a scratch, Mr. Giraldi.
What? Of course there's a scratch. I don't understand. It was there.
And is this
Well,
scratch
it's
with
not
us in the
there
room
now.
right now?
Look, I think you're worrying too much about the car, Mr. Giraldi. You're seeing things.
I'm not seeing things. This car's making me a little crazy.
You think? Next, the car's going to be on fire, and he's just going to be imagining that too.
I was becoming neurotic about the packet. I felt a
Just a
lot
little.
better after a good night's sleep, but then the worst possible thing happened. It wasn't
Oh, now it's
shadows.
gone.
I had
Invisibility
the only
cloak.
key. Luckily, Clifton Teasdale had installed a tracking device on his car, and the
Oh,
police
okay.
found the packet a few hours later, abandoned at the local cemetery.
Let me guess, it's right by his grave.
I'm the owner. See any damage or anything?
No, looks good to me.
Why don't you just let me drive it home?
Sorry, it's got to go through the impound first.
Is it the previous owner's grave? That's what I'm thinking. Yep, that's it.
And then I thought I noticed something that didn't seem possible.
Did he steal his car back from beyond the grave?
The packet was found in a cemetery where the original owner, Clifton Teasdale, was
And his
buried.
car?
Shortly after the last incident, Val Giraldi returned the Packard to Clifton Teasdale's widow. No
Enough
cause
of this
for her.
shit.
Who or what drove the car to Teasdale's grave that day? And how do you explain the disappearing dent and scratch on the car's body? Were they figments of Giraldi's obsessive imagination? Or
Maybe.
was Emery the part?
I don't think this one's really that unbelievable. Like, okay, guy buys a classic car, he's really protective of it, buys a chain link fence, buys all these parking spots next to it so no one can ding it or whatever. He imagines a couple of lesions on the car that aren't really there, and then somehow the car disappears, ends up in the cemetery near the grave of the previous owner. which that little bit at the end is kind of a coincidence, but I don't see it being real out of the ordinary. I wonder if it's possible that maybe the widow or some family member, had it stolen or had it towed or whatever, and just wanted to bring the car to visit its owner one last time, because he had said on the gravestone, loved his wife and loved his car. So maybe the owner loved this car that much that, maybe the family's like, okay, once in a while the car needs to go visit him, even though it's a car. I can understand how far-fetched that is, but compared to those first two stories, I don't think this one is that far-fetched at all. So I'm going to mark this story as true. People love their cars, and some people really, really, really love their cars. Even if some of the elements of the story are a little wild, I can see that level of, care taken, towards their vehicles. So, all right, let's get to story number 4.
Excuse me, but I've always wanted to do this.
Oh.
Buses for Springfield, Hilldale, Kinney Corners, now leaving at gate number 7. All aboard.
Why don't you get a job like that on the side?
Jordan Hicks works at one of the many depots
Hey, Jordan.
to dispatch the buses, drivers, and passengers on their way.
Jordan Hicks is also a former Blue Jay.
My job was to make sure that each bus was spotless before it left the yard. But that morning, I had something else on my mind. Something much more urgent.
Yeah, looks like it. What's up?
Has bus 29, has it left yet? No, 29 is not going out till 10:30.
Forget to do something last night?
Lyle, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but you gotta stop bus 29 from leaving this morning.
Why, isn't it clean enough for you, Jordan?
They're all gonna die in there.
He had a vision.
They're all gonna...
But I had a dream last night that bus 29 had a horrible accident.
A dream?
When the character on Beyond Belief has a dream, it comes true.
Bus 29 went nose first right into the river. Nobody had a chance. They all drowned.
Jordan, you know I can't stop a bus from going out because somebody had a bad dream.
No,
Take a different bus at least.
Bus 29 is a Great Lakes tour. It's a full load, and it will be leaving as scheduled at exactly 10:30 a.m.
Those poor passengers. He's gonna sabotage it, isn't he? Mess with the brakes or something. But then what if him messing with the brakes is what causes the accident?
Sorry, Mr. Masterson's busy right now.
This is extremely important, Debbie. I have to see him.
What's the big emergency, Hicks?
What's he busy doing?
There's only 10 more minutes left.
Get back to work, Hicks. I'm busy.
Yeah, you're busy, all right.
Stop the bus!
Oh, this is not gonna go over well.
Get out of the way and let this bus leave, or you're gonna be in a whole bunch of trouble.
What's going on?
Jordan had some dumb dream that the McLaren Bridge went out and this bus goes down.
You gotta believe me, you're all gonna die in there!
Keep your voice down, you
Aw.
maniac.
You're putting all these ideas in his head now.
I can't do it, Lyle.
Yeah, Chet doesn't want to do it either.
leave.
He's convinced.
We're 15 minutes behind schedule with a bus full of angry people.
They're demanding their money back.
Now, you can either get on that bus and start driving, or you can find yourself another job.
People have a right to refuse unsafe
Lyle,
work.
Get another driver. You're both fired.
Why don't you drive it?
Mr. Masterson.
Not now, Debbie. I'm busy.
But you won't believe what I just heard on the radio. The McLaren Bridge just collapsed.
Oh, it did.
If I had left on schedule, we would have been right in the middle of that bridge.
Maybe not so crazy after all.
They've scheduled an alternate route. I gotta leave in about 10 minutes.
Hopefully there's no danger on that route.
Chet, I need to ask you about something. Why'd you believe me when nobody else would?
Because last night, I had the same dream you had.
Oh, dream twins.
How is this possible? We've all had premonitions before.
Yeah.
But can two people have the same dream at the same time? Or did the driver, Chet Carter, just imagine he had the dream after being upset by Jordan's warnings? Whatever the case.
It's possible too. Good to see a Jordan in a story for once. So, I don't know how psychic visions work, but people do have visions of things before they happen as well. So that is a very real thing. But a person having a dream about, a very specific disaster happening, like a bridge collapsing, or I don't know if the dream was specifically about the bridge collapsing or if it was just about the bus crashing or whatever. He has that feeling that something's going to happen to the bus if it goes on schedule, and, he tries to stop it, and, they delayed a few minutes, and as it turns out, the bridge collapses. And, Jonathan's saying, maybe it's possible that Chet felt like he had the same dream, because we don't all really remember our dreams, right? Not every single one of our dreams, anyway. Like, maybe it's possible when Chet heard Jordan's dream, he's like, you know what? I think I had something like that too. I don't know if the dream he had was that specific, really. I can believe that, he had a dream that, kind of foretold of something bad happening, and he tried to stop it and ended up being true. So that's something I think I'm willing to take a chance on. So I'm going to mark story number 4 as true. All right, hooray for heroic Jordans. Okay, one more story, and then we find out our answers. Let's get it.
They say the grass is always greener in the other person's yard. But today,
Ain't it the truth?
there's lots of ways to improve the situation. Special fertilizers, seeds, even vitamins for today.
Yep,
Of course, a
you can make
variety of
yours
different
greener for a
supplements.
price.
Suzanne Elliott is about to become preoccupied with a certain plot of dead grass. Before this story is through, who knows what else might die.
Another graveyard story.
Gordon Luther Elliott died of congestive heart failure after spending the last 6 months of his life in a federal prison.
Ooh, what did he do?
He was imprisoned for embezzling a large sum of money from a company he owned with his partner.
Enjoying greener pastures and life everlasting.
Well, anything's greener than jail.
Gordon Elliott loved making things grow.
Was making his bank account grow.
And although he couldn't resist the temptation of greed, he must be forgiven his sins.
Let's not speak
Amen.
ill of the dead in the day of the funeral, eh?
We forgive you.
Oh, shut up, Suzanne.
Whoa.
He doesn't want your forgiveness.
That's no way to speak to your stepmother, James.
My father was an innocent man, Reinhardt.
Did he get framed?
He helped you build a business and you shafted him.
Wait.
You and that.
Was the stepfather his partner?
You know, I was with him when he died. And he swore that no grass would grow in this grave until the truth comes out.
And let me guess, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And what was that whole thing about the grass not growing on Gordon's grave until the truth comes out? What did that mean?
Just exactly what do you think it means?
Gordo, he's dead. There's nothing he can do.
Have you seen this show? Gotta say, wifey moved on fast too.
Don't get mad, but I called the caretaker from the cemetery again.
What? Why do you keep doing that?
Eric, there still isn't any grass growing on his grave.
Well, that's because the caretaker's an idiot.
Did you forget to plant it?
Well, he said that there's
Or,
grass
maybe
growing
it's
on
the
all the
curse.
other graves around Gordon's, just not on his.
So, there's something wrong with the dirt.
Yeah, blame the dirt.
It's Gordon. He is doing this.
All right, Suzanne.
He heard what his son said and was like, hey, good idea.
It's been a whole month. Soil tested fine. There should be grass by now.
Every
Maybe
night a
like
cow
sod
sneaks
that
in and
dye.
eats it all.
I got one more idea. We dig up the deceased, and we rebury him in a more nutrient-rich plot.
You really want to go to all that trouble for grass?
Ma'am?
Go ahead, dig him up. It's not gonna work.
Same thing's gonna happen.
You're making a big thing about some lousy grass.
It's Gordon's grass. He won't let us rest until we confess.
Oh, you did do it.
What? Then we have to go to Gordon's grave and beg his forgiveness.
You've got to be kidding me. I'm not going to Gordon's grave.
Then I will tell everything.
I guess going to the grave's a good alternative.
Tell him you're sorry and let's go home. It's freezing out here.
Eric, get on your knees.
Do what the lady says.
I am so sorry that you died in prison. We never wanted that to happen, did we, Eric?
Yeah, you did.
Eric and I never planned on falling in love. It just happened, Gordon.
So this happened before he
And
died.
we did. Okay, Gordon, will you please forgive us?
Well, what's going on?
Hey!
What?
Who's in there?
I don't know. I don't think you can see us.
Hey, whoa!
Hello!
Is Gordon in the truck? Something tells me that he doesn't forgive them.
Digger found the dead bodies of Suzanne Elliott and Eric Reinhardt the following day. He also noticed that for the first time, grass was growing on
Lo and
Gordon
behold,
Luther Elliott's grave.
There's your grass.
Was it controlling things from beyond, or was it merely a fluke of nature that kept his cemetery plot bare? If so, how do you explain that once his death was avenged, the grass grew tall and thick? Was Gordon's son behind the entire scenario?
I wonder. We didn't really see him near the end.
Have we planted the sweet smell of truth? Or was that a whiff of fertilizer in the air?
So, is there any fertilizer in this story? Guy dies. His wife was cheating on him with his partner, who framed him, sent him to prison for the last 6 months of his life, and he dies there. His son knows about it, I guess, and says, until you admit the truth, no grass is going to grow on his grave. Which is the weird part. Like everything else in the story kind of checks out. Like, maybe they're having a little bit of guilt. They go to his grave, they confess, and I don't know what exactly happened with that vehicle either. Maybe that was his ghost, or maybe that was, just some careless caretaker at the cemetery. Other than the whole, grass deciding when it's going to grow, there's not really anything in the story that is not believable. And there could be an explanation for when the grass grew and when it didn't. Like, I don't know what part of the country this is, but I did notice that his death date was like February, so if it was like wintertime, of course grass wouldn't grow then. It didn't look like wintertime in the story, but nonetheless. But it would make sense that grass wouldn't grow until like spring. So maybe the timing is just a coincidence or whatever. This is a story I believe as well, so I'm going to mark it as true. We've watched our 5 stories. I've marked the first 2 as fiction. I've marked the last 3 as truth. So let's see how we did.
Now let's look back at tonight's stories and find out which ones are inspired by actual events and which ones are totally false. Let's review the story of the house sitter who discovered a frightening secret.
All right, I said fiction on this one.
Why would anybody put a camera down here?
Cameras are everywhere now, but yeah, back then.
Did you think this story really happened? You're right.
It did?
Our research shows a similar
Okay.
incident happened around the Oregon-California state line in the early 80s.
All right, missed the first one.
What was your opinion of the young man whose misdeeds were stopped by a vision of his father?
Said fiction on this one too.
Hey, you!
This strange story has to be fake, right? Wrong. That's
No.
fact. A similar story happened to a young man in the Pacific Northwest about 20 years ago.
All right, 0 for 2 so far.
How about the story of the classic motor car that drove its owner to distraction?
All right, I said true on this one, but all of a sudden I'm not liking my chances.
I'm not seeing things. This car's making me a little crazy.
Was this story based on a real happening? Not this
No.
time. We made it up.
0 for 3. I'm scared.
The story of the 2 men who had the same premonition about Bus 29. How did you judge that one?
I said true on this one.
No, don't do it, Chet. You gotta believe me, you're all gonna die in there!
This strange story of a double premonition seems to be a work of fiction, right?
No.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, it is?
Never happened.
Oh, man. 0 for 4, guys.
The grave where no grass would grow until the dead man was avenged. How did you judge that one?
I said true, so if it's fiction, I've got my second 0.
Did you think this was real?
Real?
If you did, we got you. This one's fake.
This is my second 0, guys.
Were you able to get a hold on the truth tonight? Or did reality remain an elusive concept?
Very elusive
And when you
today.
reach out,
I'm beside myself right now, man.
This is Campbell Lane.
I don't know, man. Okay, let's wrap it up. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to my reaction to Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction Season 4, Episode 5, and yeah, not much to say about that one. My second 0 out of 5. Haven't gotten a 0 out of 5 since the Season 1 finale, which was Season 1, Episode 6. There were only 6 episodes that season. I've gone from a cumulative 14 out of 20 to now a 14 out of 25, because I'm sure that'll bring my percentage down quite a bit. I'll have to recalculate what that is, but now I have 2 zeros. I also had 2 5s before, so maybe by the time the season ends, I'll get another of one of those, I guess, and see if there's some kind of a tiebreaker. I was so sure of these ones, too. I had a really good feeling, and then that happened. So nowhere to go but up, I guess, for Episode 6, but that will have to wait till next time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my sports vlogging channel. And until next time, this is Jordan saying you can be productive sitting at home on your couch. All you need is a TV, a great catalog, and a vision. This has been Jordan's Vision. Have a good one, guys. Take care, and bye-bye.